This is Shuttle Launch Control. We are 1 hour away from the beginning of the launch period for the STS-36 launch. Everything is proceeding smoothly here in Flying Room 3 in the Launch Control Center and at Launch Pad 39A. Liftoff of Atlantis' sixth mission into space will occur sometime during the 4-hour launch period that extends until 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Mission STS-36 is dedicated to the Department of Defense, and all mission objectives and details are classified. For a nominal end of mission, the landing will occur at Edwards Air Force Base, California. The day of the landing will be announced sometime tomorrow morning. This launch marks the fourth launch in darkness in the history of the shuttle program. The three previous launches conducted in darkness were STS-8 in August of 1983, STS-61B in November 1985, and STS-33 just this past November. The 5-member flight crew for mission STS-36 is currently on board the vehicle. Commander is John Creighton, captain in the Navy, and a veteran astronaut who was commander of mission 51G, launched June 1985. Atlantis' pilot is Air Force Colonel John Casper, a decorated test pilot making his first flight into space. The three mission specialists are Air Force Colonel Mike Mullane, making his third flight into space, Marine Lieutenant Colonel David Hilmers, also embarking on his third flight into space, and Navy Lieutenant Commander Pierre Thuot, a space rookie. In the last few hours, the crew has been preparing the orbiter for launch and has made voice checks with test conductors here in the flying room and with flight controllers in Mission Control Houston. Also in the last few hours, the external tank has been loaded with its flight load of 500,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen propellants. The 8-member ICE team has made an inspection of the vehicle and measured temperatures. The last few days, the launch countdown was in an extended hold due to adverse weather and also to give Commander Creighton time to recover from an upper respiratory tract infection. Earlier in the countdown today, a red team was sent in. There was a valve on the mobile launcher platform. The liquid oxygen replenish valve was leaking, and a red crew was sent in to correct that leak and tighten it. That activity has been completed, and we are back into a stable replenish mode with the liquid oxygen. All continuing to go smoothly in the STS-36 launch countdown. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. Everything continuing to proceed smoothly here for the launch of Atlantis and mission STS-36. Got a favorable forecast for the weather for today's launch. We've only got about a 5% chance of not meeting our criteria for launch. Temperature expected at during our period would be 45 to 47 degrees. We're expecting winds out of the west at 8 knots, gusting to 12 knots. Got clear skies and 7 miles of visibility. 95% chance of meeting our criteria for launch this morning as far as weather goes. There's some background activities on the preparations here at Kennedy to get the orbiter Atlantis ready for this mission. Processing activities began for this mission on about October 30th, when Atlantis was towed to the orbiter processing facility after it arrived from the Dryden Flight Research Facility following the STS-34 mission. Post-flight deconfiguration and inspections were conducted in the processing hangar. As planned, the 3 main engines were removed and taken to the engine shop in the vehicle assembly building for the replacement of several components and testing. Solid rocket boosters were stacked on the mobile launcher platform in the VAB, and the external tank was mated on December 21st. Atlantis was transferred from the OPF to the VAB on January 19, where it was mated to the tank and boosters. A shuttle interface test was conducted in the vehicle assembly building to check out the mechanical and electrical connections between the various elements of the shuttle vehicle and the onboard systems. The assembled Space Shuttle vehicle was rolled out of the VAB aboard its mobile launcher platform for the 3.4-mile trip to Launch Pad 39A on about January 25th. Countdown demonstration test, which is a dress rehearsal for the STS-36 flight crew and KSC launch team, was held February 2nd and 3rd. Standard launch preparations scheduled the last 2 weeks prior to picking up with the launch countdown include final vehicle ordnance activities such as power-on stray voltage checks and resistance checks of firing circuits, loading the fuel cell storage tanks, pressurizing the hypergolic propellant tanks aboard the vehicle, and a final functional check of the range safety and solid rocket booster ignition safe and arm devices. Launch countdown began at 8 p.m. Eastern Time last Sunday, and the flight crew for this mission also arrived several hours later that same day. All continuing to go smoothly for the countdown for STS-36. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. All continuing to go smooth here in the countdown for STS-36. The solid rocket booster recovery ships are standing by in the Atlantic Ocean about 140 miles east of Kennedy Space Center. Freedom Star and the Liberty Star ships departed from Cape Canaveral several days ago. Since they have been on station, an electronic visual search of the impact area has been made to ensure the area is clear of shipping. At the time of launch, the ships will be about 7.5 miles from the predicted impact points of the solid motors. The boosters are jettisoned about 2 minutes after liftoff and impact the ocean about 7 minutes after liftoff. The whole recovery operation takes about 5 hours. Divers aboard the ships will configure the boosters for the tow back to Hangar AF. Boosters will be disassembled there and shipped back to Thiokol in Utah for refurbishment. That is the solid motor cases, the forward nose cone area, and the aft skirts, of course, will go to the USBI plant here for refurbishment. There are no technical issues being tracked at this time that would prevent the launch of Atlantis. Opening of the 4-hour launch period today begins in about 15 minutes. This is Shuttle Launch Control. One of the other activities performed in a countdown is performed by a pilot. In this case, it's pilot John Casper, and that is to configure the switches in the cockpit to pre-activate the Orbiter's 3 water spray boilers. Each of the Orbiter's 3 hydraulic systems has a water spray boiler which cools down hydraulic fluid and auxiliary power unit lube oil and vents the steam overboard. During the boost phase, orbital checkout, deorbit, and entry through landing, these boilers are activated if the hydraulic fluid temperature exceeds 208 degrees and if the lube oil exceeds about 250 degrees. Spray boilers are located in the orbiter's aft fuselage and hold about 120 pounds of water. The terminal count range safety closed loop test is another activity performed during the countdown. This test verifies the path the destruct signal would travel and that the shuttle's range safety receiver responds correctly to the commands sent. This is also a health check of the range safety signal. Console operators in the Range Control Center at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station get verification that the orbiter has received the signal. inhibits have been placed in the system to prevent inadvertent firing. Another activity is the mission control to switch Atlantis' S-band antennas to the high power mode and to configure the communication system so that at liftoff it will transmit and receive by radio instead of through hard wires as is performed during the countdown. There are no technical issues being tracked at this time. We're now just a few minutes into our launch period for the STS-36 launch. All continuing to go smoothly. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. We're standing by now to play back a videotape of the flight crew having breakfast, getting into their flight suits, and getting aboard the astronaut van en route for Launch Pad 39A. This is tape that was recorded earlier this morning, and it's been edited, and it's about 2 minutes long. We will be playing that at 12:15 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control, standing by momentarily for videotape recorded earlier of the flight crew activities. There's the traditional cake. There's Mission Specialist Pierre Thuet making his first trip into space this morning. Pilot John Casper also making his first trip. Commander John Creighton. Mission Specialist David Hilmers. And Mission Specialist Mike Mullane. Hilmers and Mullane making their third trip into space this morning. The traditional cake is in the center of the table. It's decorated with the insignia for this mission. There's Pilot John Casper giving a thumbs up. He's ready to go for launch. He's getting assisted with their launch and entry suits. Commander John Creighton. And Mission Specialist Mike Mullane. This is a suit-up room is in the Operations and Checkout building located in KSC's industrial area. That's where the crew quarters are, where they spend their time while they're here at Kennedy. Mission Specialist Pierre Thuet. Commander Creighton now being assisted with his helmet. And we've got the crew walking out of the ONC building. Commander Creighton and Pilot Casper leading the crew. Being greeted by some well-wishers who are wishing them well for the flight this morning. Climbing aboard the astronaut van, and van will be leaving shortly and going out to Pad 39A. This tape was recorded earlier. Flight crew is now aboard the Space Shuttle Atlantis, now strapped in. And that concludes our videotape for the flight crew activities this morning. All continue to go well in the countdown for STS-36. No problems being tracked at this time. Weather remains go here at Kennedy, and Telesite weather is also go at this time. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. All continue to go smoothly in the countdown for STS-36. Now about half an hour into our 4-hour launch period for today. The exact time of launch will not be known until exactly T-minus 9 minutes and counting, and that will be announced when that time comes. Going to give some background on the flight crew members. Commander John Creighton is a captain in the United States Navy. He was selected as an astronaut in January of 1978. He was born in Orange, Texas, but considers Seattle, Washington to be his hometown. He was pilot for 51G, launched in June 17, 1985. During that mission, the crew deployed communication satellites for Mexico, the Arab League, and the United States. They also used the robot arm to retrieve the Spartan satellite, which performed 17 hours of X-ray astronomy experiments while separated from the shuttle. With the completion of that flight, Creighton has logged a total of 170 hours in space. He received his Bachelor's of Science degree from the United States Naval Academy and a Master of Science in Administration of Science and Technology from George Washington University. He started flight training following graduation from Annapolis and received his wings in 1967. He made 2 combat deployments to Vietnam aboard the USS Ranger. He graduated from the United States Naval Test Pilot School at Patuxent River, Maryland, and upon graduation was assigned as a project test pilot with the Service Test Division at the Naval Air Station at Pax River. Creighton served as Operations Officer and F-14 Program Manager at the Naval Air Test Center Strike Directorate. He has logged 5,000 hours flying time, the majority of it in jet fighters, and has completed 500 carrier landings and 175 combat missions. Pilot John Casper, a colonel in the United States Air Force, was born in Greenville, South Carolina, but considers Gainesville, Georgia to be his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Engineering Science from the United States Air Force Academy and a Master of Science degree in Astronautics from Purdue University. He is a 1986 graduate of the Air Force Air War College. He received his pilot wings at Reese Air Force Base in Texas. He flew 229 combat missions in the F-100 during his assignment at Phan Rang Air Base. He is a graduate of the Air Force Test Pilot School and was subsequently assigned as a test pilot at Edwards Air Force Base, California, flying weapons delivery and avionics testing for F-4 and A-7 aircraft. Casper has logged over 5,300 hours flying time in 48 different aircraft. He was selected as an astronaut in June 1985 and was the astronaut office lead in improving the shuttle onboard computer software and hardware. Presently serves as the astronaut office focal point for all issues related to landing sites and landing and deceleration hardware, including improvements to the nose wheel steering, brakes, and tires. Mission Specialist David Hilmers, a lieutenant colonel in the United States Marine Corps, was born in Clinton, Iowa, but considers DeWitt, Iowa to be his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Mathematics from Cornell University, Master of Science degree in Electrical Engineering in 1977, and the degree of Electrical Engineer from the United States Naval Postgraduate School. He became a NASA astronaut in 1981. The STS-36 mission will be Hilmer's 3rd trip into space. He flew on Mission 51J, a classified Department of Defense mission launched October 3, 1985, which was also the maiden voyage of Atlantis. His second flight was STS-36, the first return-to-flight mission, launched September 29, 1988. During that 4-day mission, the crew successfully deployed the Tracking and Data Relay satellite and operated about 11 mid-deck experiments. Richard Mike Mullane, a colonel in the United States Air Force, was born in Wichita Falls, Texas, but considers Albuquerque, New Mexico his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Military Engineering from the United States Military Academy and was awarded a Master of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering from the Air Force Institute of Technology. He completed combat missions as a weapons system operator while stationed at Vietnam in 1969. He subsequently served a 4-year tour of duty at Royal Air Force Base in Alconbury, England. This will be Mulane's 3rd flight into space. He was a mission specialist on the crew of STS-41D, which was launched on August 30th, 1984. During this 7-day mission, the crew successfully activated the OST-1 solar cell wing experiment, deployed 3 satellites. He flew again aboard Atlantis on mission STS-37, a classified Department of Defense mission, which was launched December 2nd, 1988. Pierre Thuet, a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy, was born in Groton, Connecticut, but considers Fairfax, Virginia to be his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in physics from the United States Naval Academy and a Master of Science degree in Systems Management from the University of Southern California. He received his wings in August of 1978. He has made overseas deployments to the Mediterranean and Caribbean seas aboard the USS John F. Kennedy and the USS Independence. He has logged over 2,300 hours, flight hours in more than 40 different aircraft and has over 270 carrier landings. Thuet became a NASA astronaut in July 1986. He has participated in the design, development, and evaluation of space shuttle payloads and crew equipment that has extravehicular activity interfaces or that interfaces with the robot arm. He has served as a capsule communicator in the Mission Control Center, responsible for communications with the shuttle crew during training simulations and actual missions. Flight crew again is currently aboard the shuttle Atlantis, strapped into their seats. Crew module has been closed out for flight. All continues to go smooth in the countdown for STS-36. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and counting. And the ground launch sequencer has been initiated. It is now in control, issuing commands for the final critical task. It monitors hundreds of vehicle measurements during the final 9 minutes. Prior to coming out of this hold, the mission management team was polled and they reported they were go for launch. Launch team also reported they were go, and launch director Bob Seek also gave his go. T-minus 8 minutes and counting. Houston flight controllers sending their stored program commands, which are the final update on antenna management. This update ensures that the orbiter has the latest information to communicate with different ground tracking stations during the mission. The orbiter's AC electrical bus sensors have been placed on monitor. And we've got to go for retraction of the orbiter access arm. T-minus 7 minutes, 20 seconds. This arm can be extended in just a few seconds if necessary. Orbiter access arm now being retracted away from the shuttle Atlantis. There was some discussion earlier about frost on the external tank. It has been analyzed and it is cleared for flight. And pilot Casper has been given a go to perform auxiliary power unit pre-start. T-minus 6 minutes, 30 seconds. Casper will configure switches in the cockpit to put the APUs in the ready-to-start configuration. Casper reporting that pre-start is complete. T-minus 6 minutes. The APUs provide hydraulic power to the orbiter. T-minus 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. The APUs will be started at the T-minus 5 minute point. T-minus 5 minutes, and we have a go for APU start. Commander Creighton has been asked to reconfigure the orbiter's heaters for launch. And he reports the reconfiguration is now complete. T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. Final purge sequence of the main engines will begin in about 30 seconds. The valves on the main engines will be open to prepare for engine start. At the 1 minute point in the count, an engine ready indication will be given. T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Just had a go for the final purge sequence of the main engines. A profile test of the orbiter's aero surfaces has started. Orbiter flight control surfaces are being moved through a pre-programmed pattern to verify they are ready for launch. Also at this time, the 3 main engines are being gimbaled and positioned for launch. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. All systems are go for launch at this time, just a few minutes away from the launch of Atlantis on a classified Department of Defense mission with 5 crew members. We do have a go for pressurization of the external tank, liquid oxygen tank, for launch. T-minus 2 minutes, 40 seconds, and counting. In just a few moments, the gaseous oxygen vent hood will be retracted away from the top of the external tank. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Pilot Casper reports that the caution warning memory system is now cleared. Crew's been advised now to close and lock their visors for flight. And the countdown clock will hold at T-minus 31 seconds. There is a range safety computer that is down at this time. And the countdown clock will hold at the T-minus 31 second point. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Counting down to the T-minus 31 second point, where the clock will hold for resolution of the computer on the range safety area. T-minus 31 seconds and holding. We've got about 6 minutes of hold time here today, since the orbiter's auxiliary power units have been started, and also with the drain back of the liquid oxygen. We do have a time limit for these particular parameters, and we'll be making some decisions shortly. Launch Director Bob Seek has asked the Superintendent of Range Operations for an estimated time on resolution of this issue. They do have a computer that is down, is necessary to support launch. We're holding now at this T-minus 31 second mark. When we do resume the count, Atlantis's 4 redundant computers will have primary control over the control of critical vehicle functions. Standing by now still for an estimate on the time for the Superintendent of Range Operations. No word yet on how long that might be. So the countdown still holding at T-minus 31 seconds. Got about 2 minutes and 45 seconds that we've been holding. Got about 3.5 minutes remaining in our hold time capability for a launch attempt this morning. Still awaiting word from the Superintendent of Range Operations. No word yet. Countdown clock holding at T-minus 31 seconds. And we have scrub for today. The T-minus 31 second point. There were temperatures that went out of limits on the main engines, and it is necessary to have the proper temperature for engine start. Orbiter access arm now being put back into place for the flight crew to depart from the shuttle. We don't have an option today. We don't have an option today to recycle and try again. So flight crew will depart from the shuttle, and we will be draining the external tank and evaluating our recycle activities. Again, we have scrub for today at the T-minus 31 second point. We were holding for about 6 minutes trying to get resolution of a computer, a range safety computer that's necessary for launch. And during the time we were holding, the temperatures on main engines went out of limit, and we did have to call a scrub for today. This is shuttle launch control. Countdown clock was held at T-minus 31 seconds because of a computer that went down with the range safety system. This computer is necessary for launch. While we're waiting on a resolution of that problem, we had already stopped the liquid oxygen replenished to the tank, and when that happens, the liquid oxygen starts to warm up, and at this particular time, when we did call the scrub, the temperature of the liquid oxygen became out of specification for an engine start. So it was at that point we did have to call the scrub, and also the auxiliary power units have been shut down. There's some discussion going on at this time on whether or not we could cool those down in time to perform a start on the APUs again this morning and possibly try to launch today. The auxiliary power units cannot be restarted when they are hot, and normal cool down time would be about 2 hours. However, if water is sprayed on the power units, then that possibly could cool them down in time enough to support a launch, and that is being discussed by engineers here in the firing room. We will keep you informed on this discussion. No resolution on the range safety computer necessary for launch. In the meantime, safing activities are underway. This is shuttle launch control. We have scrubbed officially for today. NASA Launch Director Bob Seek just informed test conductor Mike Leinbach that we will be scrubbed for today, and we'll reevaluate and see where the next launch attempt will be made. We could not cool down the auxiliary power units in time to support a launch for today, so we will be safing the orbiter. Engineers here in the firing room will continue on with their safing activities. We will drain the external tank of its liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen propellants, and the flight crew will get out of the cockpit and go back to the operations and checkout building for a briefing. Again, no word on resolution for the range safety computer, which caused the hold at T-minus 31 seconds. And at that time, when a hold is called at that point in the countdown, we'd already stopped liquid oxygen replenished to the external tank, causing the liquid oxygen to become warmer, and it did become too warm to perform engine start. We will provide more information as it becomes available. We will be providing a written statement later on as soon as we get some word on the next launch attempt and some resolution on the range safety computer problem. That will wrap up the commentary for this morning's launch attempt. This is Shuttle Launch Control.